Hi there. Welcome to Conversations, where we seek to advance your leader and team excellence by discussing relevant topics that impact today's organizations. Welcome to the show. Hey there, leader, and welcome to Conversations for Leaders and Teams, where today we are speaking with Dr. Dana Cavallaro around developing a culture of honor in the workplace. Dr. Cavallaro is a part-time professor of practical theology, earned a Doctor of Ministry from Regent University in Transformational Leadership, a Master's of Divinity from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary with an emphasis in urban ministry, and a BA in Biblical Studies from Evangel University. She has taught in several Bible colleges as well as at Continental Theological Seminary in Brussels, Belgium, which I hear it's beautiful there. Most recently, she received the 2019 Dean's Award for Teaching Excellence. Congratulations for that. She has, however, spent most of her vocation in pastoral ministry, serving as a minister of counseling, director of ministries, and fulfilling the role of executive pastor. Dr. Cavallaro, an ordained minister, is also a conference and retreat speaker. For all you strengths enthusiasts, Dana leads with individualization, connectedness, learner, achiever, and arranger. Dana, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. The last time we talked, you were in my neck of the woods. It was sunny. So where are you coming to us from today?
Honey, we have had such cold weather here, but I think today we're going to break 60. Woohoo! It's a reminder that spring's coming.
That's right. That is, we don't really have, seasons here in Florida, but where I grew up, I did, in the Northeast. And there was something about when you knew spring was coming, right? That rebirth of everything. It was always a wonderful time of year. Yeah. So we are going to talk today about an interesting topic that you're bringing to us. And so we're going to jump right in about developing a culture of honor in the workplace. And honor is a big word that
Yes.
I feel like too many people, especially leaders, maybe we don't touch on honor and what that means. So I'd love if we can just kick this off with what is honor and honor in the workplace. What does that look like?
Great question. And I think sometimes, Kelly, what we do is we confuse honor with respect. And these are similar words in many ways, but yet very different. And so respect is something that's earned. I respect you because of your character. I respect you because of your position. There's always a because of that goes with it. Honor, on the other hand, in our society has often come to be another word for respect. I want to honor you because of what you've done. I want to honor you because of some great feat you've accomplished. But I want to bring it back way back and look at a biblical definition of honor. And that would be, I honor you because you're a person made in the image of God. So the honor that I extend to you really is not based on what you've done or what you've accomplished. It's based on you're a fellow human being made in the image of God. And as a person of faith, I want to honor God in my life. And the way I do that is by honoring his creation. And that's honoring you. So in the workplace, when we talk about honor, we're not just talking about a system of awards or ways in which to gratify people because of accomplishment only. We're talking about seeing people as people. Kind of breaking down that wall of depersonalization. You're more than a number. You are a person, and I want to honor or appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table. And that changes the atmosphere.
Yes. Yeah. It sounds like when you were talking about respect and the differences between honor and respect, seem like respect is more transactional. Would that
Yes,
be? Okay. Yeah.
I think so. A really good way to look at this, most of us have heard of the 10 Commandments. And the fifth commandment is like that 5 golden ring: honor your mother and father. We're never told to respect our mother and father. We're told to honor them. Because let's face it, some mothers and fathers are not worthy of respect. I mean, we wish we could say we live in that kind of world where we all
That's
have
right.
perfect parents, but some of them have abused us. Some of them have hurt us. Some of them were absent or they've abandoned us. God does not tell us that we have to respect them. He tells us we have to honor them.
Yeah, and that might be some good news there for somebody who's listening, tuning in. That might have just landed with somebody to help them through some of that, because so many times, right, is we're children and we hear things, we experience things, and even into our adult years that just stick with us. So I think what you just said there was probably very meaningful. So when we think about having this culture of honor, what does that look like?
Well, I think in society as a whole, like for you and I, it means to really see people as people and not just pass by them. If I'm a boss in a company, I don't just see this production team and just look at them in terms of their productivity. I see them as a group of people working together in a team that I want to create. So there's certain things that come into a culture of honor. One is really breaking down again that wall of depersonalization, seeing people as people. One of the most powerful scriptures, I believe, in the New Testament, Jesus is talking to a Pharisee, and there's a woman in the room who doesn't have great standing in society because of her past. And this Pharisee looks at her, or doesn't look at her, only sees her past. And Jesus says to him, "Do you see her?" And the word there isn't like the Greek word blimpo. It isn't just to give her a passing glance. It's, do you really see her? Do you see the person that she is? Do you see her heart? Do you see her possibility, her potential? And I think that's the same word that we need to ask ourselves every day, or the same question. Do you see them?
Right.
Do you see the people?
And really
so it has to do with how we view people. I think that's one of the first things. The second thing is, if I view people as important, if I view people as being made in the image of God, then I'm also going to see them not just for the past or what they've done, but also their potential. So it becomes a place where I'm calling, out of them what I see as their giftings and their strengths. It doesn't mean that I don't maybe address some weaknesses, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see someone's flaws. Right? Anybody could see the dirt. Anybody could see the weeds. But it really, in a culture of honor, it's as if I put on a new pair of glasses. And so the thing that's glaring at me isn't just what's wrong, but also learning to see what's right about people. And in that environment, it becomes a safe place. Because I know that you care for me. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to want to be better. I'm going to want to fix it. It's not a fear-based place. It becomes a safe place. And I want to do well because I care about the people and I know that I'm cared about, not because I'm scared to death if I do something wrong, I'm going to be fired.
Right. Yeah.
I think one of the issues that comes in developing a culture of honor is remembering that honor isn't this big ball of fluff. It's not a cult of positivity, but really taking an interest in people. It involves something of my time and of myself. But it also means that I love you too much not to help you grow,
I love
not to
that. I
help you
love you too
flourish.
much. Yeah, not to help you grow, not to help you flourish. And in these times that we're in, it seems like that honor really should be coming to the forefront when, as a country, we are experiencing, so much with the pandemic and people
Yeah.
working at home, their lives on display for all to see. And really how are leaders, coming to their people and really honoring them by seeing them and by showing up and being present for them. So important.
And this is, if you're going to change the culture, it's a top down change.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a grassroots. It's really got to come from the top leadership. In fact, I went to a conference on honor, and there were a lot of pastors there. And one pastor came up to the speaker and said, "Oh man, we just need this in our church. Our people are catty and backbiting, and they just need to. Could you please come and do this at our church?" And the speaker said, "No, I won't." And the pastor was like shocked. And he said, why won't you come? I mean, I'll pay you. Why won't you come? And he said, because until you start carrying honor and until you start honoring your people and you start really seeing them for where they are and creating that environment, nothing is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I can come to your church. Your people can get on fire for this. They can begin to see it, understand it, grasp it. But until you make the change, your organization is never going to change.
That's right. You need to lead by example.
Yes. Yes.
And they need to see it. They need to see it. And I think so many times in organizations, they do look to the leader. They want to see the leader, communicating and displaying certain actions and saying certain things. I think that they really thrive on that. And so when a leader does lead by example and have that honor, and they start seeing the leader exhibiting those things, sure, it gives permission to the people to also be doing that. And it also has that expectation of that. And then the reciprocal.
Reciprocity. That's very true. Have you ever been in a negative environment and it's as if,
Yes.
you tend to form bonds with people out of what's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and that tends to spread, and
Sure
and it
does.
just kind of it produces itself, and it just keeps going. Well, I think the same thing can happen in a culture of honor. When people are appreciated. I read a statistic about a company. It's a major manufacturing company. And this person that was being interviewed said, I've been here for 30 years, and the only time we ever get recognized is on the fives. I got recognized for being here 5 years, and then 10 years, and then 15 years. But no one's ever said anything about my work. They've never said anything about me. It's just simply that's the only way to be recognized. And the morale at this company was not very high. Go figure. It makes a huge difference. And one of the things that a culture of honor does as well is it recognizes how important gratitude is.
Mm-hmm.
When we have gratitude for our jobs, when we have gratitude for those that we work with, when we have gratitude for the situation, it does something even to our brains. University of California at Berkeley did a study of individuals with high degrees of distress, and they asked them to begin to make gratitude journals or to express gratitude out loud every day. was that those that practice gratitude had higher levels of serotonin and dopamine, which we need to be pleasant
we do.
and to feel good. But they also found that in the workplace, those that practice gratitude had, they were more efficient, they were more productive and responsible. They were more likely to volunteer if there was a crisis, even out of their own area. And they worked better in teams.
Those are the types of people that we want, right?
Yes.
But again, displaying that from the top.
Right. And that's the thing. If I want those kinds of people, I've got to develop an atmosphere where that can flourish. Because I think the seeds of those are in all of us. But if you put us in a really negative environment where nothing is working, I don't feel heard, I don't fully understand what it is that you want me to do in the first place, and name calling, all these things can happen. Even if I'm paid well, there's a good chance I'm going to look for another job.
That's right. Yeah, it's not always about the money. Yes. I think most times, research says that, it's not about the money. It's about how we feel and how we are fed by that feeling when we go to work and what we get, through that environment and through leadership and through our peers, how they're showing up.
Yes.
So true.
I just heard this week of a young girl. I know her. She's in her 20s, and she got a job that she just loves, and she was chosen to work in them to be in management training. Wonderful. She is giving 110%. She wants this job so badly, and she wants to succeed. The environment, however, that's been created there is not one of honor. And just this week, she came in and she was working, and she just made a small comment about her pants, something about her pants. And her boss turned around and said, "Well, that's because you are so fat." And he said it in front of all the other employees that were working under her. And she was devastated. I mean, she's really trying to turn her life around and to do things right. And she just, it's like her balloon. Maybe it wasn't a pop in front of everyone, but she felt so deflated.
For sure.
And she said, "That's not the kind of boss I want to be. But because I have that kind of boss, he's setting the tone for everything that takes place here." Mm-hmm. And the other employees started to laugh.
Not good. That is not good. Yeah. And that's it's kind of a segue into the other part of your research, honor, but also shame. And so I know when I think of shame, I think about, when I was young, I would hear, you should be ashamed of yourself, or, things like that. And those things really stick with people. And so, when you're, telling the story about the young girl who's really trying to, find her way and be in this management training, expand her horizons, and then hearing something, like she did, and then feeling that deflation. Let's shift there and talk about shame and what shame is and how that really is toxic.
Yes. Well, I do believe that all shame isn't necessarily bad, that there's some good shame. For instance, talking to you now, I'm not going to pick my nose because that would be shameful. I mean, we say to children, "Sweetheart, there's just certain things that we don't do in public." Right. There's a shame that becomes a boundary for cultural norms. But what we're talking about when we talk about the antithesis of honor is a toxic shame. And Brene Brown has explained this so well. Guilt says, "I did something wrong, and there's a way to make restitution for that. I can ask forgiveness. I can, remedy the situation." But shame says, "I am something inherently wrong. Something is wrong with me. I'm so flawed." And these two work together so well, because shame is really one of the things that prohibits the culture of honor. If I'm full of toxic shame, it's really hard for me to see the good in other people, because I don't see the good in me either.
Right.
So what I do is I want to cover it up. I don't want you to see my flaws. I don't want you to see that thing. Shame, and we're going to call it toxic shame, and honor. They're so antithetical toward one another that one can't really exist in the environment. So if I'm a leader that's full of shame, it's going to be very hard for me to create that culture of honor. Because one of the things that shame does is it makes my world about me. It's about my either hiding my flaws, or somehow I need to present a side of me that will cover up my flaws.
So what does that usually look like? What do you see, the people that you work with or that you've studied?
Well, there's a continuum. On this side, there's a person who doesn't give you eye contact. They look down at the floor. They're almost embarrassed to be there. They show up. They should be commended for that. But this is the person who's really been broken, and it shows. The antithesis of that is almost the narcissistic personality. Bigger than life. Let me show you who I am. By the way, did I tell you what I did last week? Oh, you'll just never believe it. I got this award. Because if I could tell you how good I am, you'll have no idea how broken I am on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find ourselves in this continuum. But shame is so easily given in any time that a person should have been honored or could have been honored. The dishonor that takes place by pulling out that honor leaves an opening for shame to come in. So I'll give you an example from my own life.
Yeah,
I'm in high school. I'm a high school senior, and I'm in a writing class, and I am working my fingers off for this class, rewriting and writing and rewriting, trying to please this teacher. And so one day, in front of the entire class, she's handing out papers, and she hands out my paper. And she said to me at that time, Miss Fulcher, my maiden name, if you don't learn how to write and fix your work when you go to college, the only thing you'll be able to do is major in the fine placement of mascara pudding.
Oh my!
And she said that in front of the entire class.
Oh my goodness!
And my paper was bleeding. Now, the funny thing was, I got like a B or a B plus in the class, so it couldn't have been that bad. Mm-hmm. But she really humiliated me in front of the class. So I get to college, and that just stays there. It's like a seed. I don't go around and say to everybody, hey, I'm the one who can't write, So I get to college, and I have to take this advanced composition class for my major. And I'm already prepared a speech for my parents why I have to change majors, because we all know I'm probably going to fail the class. Right. So after my first paper, which, by the way, I sweated great drops of perspiration trying to write this paper, I get a note in my mailbox, and it says, the professor wants to see me in his office. Call and make an appointment. And I'm thinking, oh, it is bad. It is so bad. I'm out of here. I'm going to have to, do something else completely. And I'm trembling as I go in, because I know it's bad news. And I'm sitting on one side of the desk, and he's on the back, and he takes my paper, and he holds it up, and he says, I have rarely seen a first paper like this one. I'm like, oh, great. I'm not only bad, I'm like in the hall of bad. He's going to put me up on the corner of his wall. These are the things not to do. And he said, I just had to call you in because it's such an outstanding paper. I stood up on my side on the front of his desk and looked over to make sure he actually had my paper.
Oh my
because God. I had convinced myself that I could never do this. And so, therefore, I thought he got me confused with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's what shame does. It stays so deep. It's like that seed. And my shame was I can't write. I've been shamed in front of the whole class. This is a flaw within me. It's not something I can correct by learning a skill. It's just a part of who I am.
The lies we believe.
Boy. And
Mm.
that's what shame does. It serves as the cement, the mortar, making all of those lies become a part of who we are. Shame
Mhm.
becomes a part of my identity. This is now how I see
Yes.
myself.
Right. Which is wrong.
Yes, yes. And so think about that again in the workplace. There's a host of people with shame. I can't change all that. I realize that. That's the part of their work. But what I can do is begin to make this a safe environment, and I can recognize them for who they are. And not just for what they've done or not just for their mistakes, but really for the person that they are and what they bring to the table.
Mm. Imagine if all organizations did that, if all leaders, if they just came to the table and they were actually just seeing their people, just seeing them,
Yes.
having that honor. What an amazing environment that would be. People would want to work for that leader.
Yes.
And we know that people are going to show up for a leader if they do feel that honor. They will show up and give their all for someone when
Yes.
they feel that.
Um, I have a friend who's a principal at a school, and she has made it her life to invest in those children. And she stands in the middle of the hall every single morning, and all these children are coming in from the bus and some, walkers. And she knows them. Hey, how's your mom? How's your new brother? Oh, look, you've got boots. I love that. She knows them by name, and she knows something about them. And it's amazing. Hundreds of kids are going past her. Hey, Jimmy, I see those braces. Don't eat some popcorn today. I mean, she's like, just like this. Those kids cannot wait to get into school because they never know which one she's going to call out. And, she doesn't remind them, hey, you were in the office yesterday. We're not having that situation again. She just sees them for who they are that day. And they love coming into school because of that atmosphere, that attitude there.
That's beautiful. I could just see them, getting off the bus, going into school, all
Yes.
happy. Because, my mom was an elementary teacher for over 30 years. And she would say, we don't know what goes on when they leave here. And so, she gave her all to the children, that she served and the families. Because she just didn't know, and it wasn't always that great. She understood that. I think more people need to understand that when we walk out our door in the morning, we don't necessarily leave behind. We do take it into work. What we're exhibiting, how we're leading by example or not leading by example, how we are honoring people, and allowing people to flourish. In that safe space, like you said, that is so important for people to experience.
Right. Absolutely. George Barna, in his book on leaders, has a story about a major manufacturing company that was tanking, and they brought in a new CEO. And at the first meeting, all the directors and the vice presidents are there, and he is asked them one question: "Tell me something good that happened in your department this week." And
Shouldn't be so difficult, right?
they all just looked at him like, plan and chart, and this is what we're going to do, and then this, and none of that happened. And so he dismissed the meeting. Now morale was rock bottom anyway, but some of these Ivy League trained financial guys, and they were so disappointed. After a couple of weeks of this kind of atmosphere, they quit.
I got it.
And they quit, but they filled them with other people that were more on board with the CEO, and he kept asking the same question every week. And so finally somebody came up with something. One of my guys stayed all night. There was a problem. And he said, "Oh, that's awesome. What did you do to honor him?" So, well, I told him to go home and go to bed. And he said, no, I want you to get a gift card. I want you to do something, bring him up in front of the whole department and let's honor him. And this became like dominoes falling.
Habitual. Yeah.
And the whole company turned around, not because of this great, vibrant vision or mission statement, which I'm sure they put into place later on, but because the atmosphere changed. And now people, instead of, cussing all the way to work because it was so miserable, they wanted to go and they wanted to help and they want to be a part of something where they feel appreciated.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that. Great stories today, Dana. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I love seeing honor enacted. I love it. I look for it everywhere. Even when I'm watching a television show, I'll say, "Hey, did you see that? That's such an honoring moment there."
Yeah, and that's what I hope leaders will, who are tuning in, will really, hear the stories because they're real world stories. You brought research in, so we know that honor is so important, and really take the steps to create that environment to allow your people to flourish, and take those steps that you talked about. Really see your people, or in meetings, right? Having gratitude, really being able to, ask the question, what good happened this week, and answer the question, right? And then that habitual behavior, happens, and organizations begin to flourish, individuals begin to flourish. I think that's terrific.
Yes.
Yeah.
And isn't that what we want?
We sure do.
We want that kind of environment, and we have to be willing to invest and put in the work for it. The CEO was made fun of, and certain people talked behind his back, but he didn't. He stayed the course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we have to do. If we're going to make the effort to change, we're going to have to stay the course. And one of the other things about creating a culture of environment is being able to celebrate our work together, not necessarily some great success, but to celebrate the steps along the way.
That's right.
Because I think that says, we haven't seen the results that we wanted, but boy, you've been working really hard, and I see that. And when people feel, that, I believe that they're going to give more. Yeah. They're going to keep at it until they find the answers that they're looking for. There's a doctor, Antonio Damasio. He says this, and I love it. He said, "We are not thinking machines that feel, but emotional machines that think."
Yes.
So I think that honor is kind of like the oil that we put in the machine to keep it running. Yeah. So that the gears don't get stuck.
That's right.
And if my machine is running here, I'm going to think better. And if I'm going to think better, I'm going to work better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Oh, well, Dana, this has been a great conversation. And I have one question before we close. I'd love to know if you ever contacted that teacher way back when who made you feel shame.
I haven't. I did try to find her at one point, and I believe someone who knew her told me that she had passed away.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in high school in another whole decade, but I have thought about her, and I've been really thankful for her. Believe it or not, I've been really grateful, because just in sharing that story, it's helped so many other people to say, something similar happened in my life, or I get that, I understand that. Let me tell you what my mom used to say over me every day. You'll never, amount to this,
or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or, this person would say this, and I can overcome that.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, it gives hope.
Yes.
It gives hope to people.
Yeah, it does. the very first article I ever had published in an international magazine, I thought, see, this is what honor can do when you realize, this English professor, he invested in me.
Yeah.
Our conversations went beyond that first time, but he saw something that I never saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as leaders, we have that same really power.
Yeah, we sure do.
To see in someone what they don't see, and to clear out the weeds, to clear out the dust and the dirt, and help that come forth and help other people to shine.
Yes.
That's the legacy that we want to leave.
Yeah. And we're living our legacy. So let's start today, right? With the things that you've, unpacked for us. And, there are some action steps that can be had, and we want people to love coming to work. We want to be able to honor people. I mean, that serotonin, right? And all that, with the brain chemistry, that just, it puts people in a different mindset. And it gives people the opportunity, like you said, to grow and flourish. And that's what we really all need to do collectively as human beings. So thank you very much. I would love to be able to put people in contact with you if they have questions about the research you've done or anything that you're doing, you're speaking. How can people contact you? Where can they find you?
Well, they can contact me through my email, which is very simple, Dana Cavallaro, DANACAVALLARO @gmail.com, and then reference this show. So I'll have some contacts there. That would be great.
Awesome. Yes, put Conversations Podcast in that email, so Dana knows, that you heard her here and that you have some interest, and we'd love to be able to, connect people, because you are doing great work, and I appreciate you so coming and sharing your passion around honor and shame and the difference, and not all shame is bad, and we need to understand that. So thank you so much. And enjoy your winter weather that is turning into spring soon.
Yes. You got it. Thank you so much for having me. As you can tell, I love to be able to talk about this. And so I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, you are welcome. And we'll see you soon. Until next time, this is Dr. Kelly Whalen. Keep doing great things, because our world needs leaders like you.